Hello and welcome back to Eden's Reach. This is Fritz-Ay Says, and we're just on episode 2. So we just met Dylan and bought a new jacket and getting prepped for a DJ performance at the club tonight. Let's get started. Later that day. The time to perform in the midnight sun has come quickly as the news reached me. I could already hear the music inside rather faintly, making me tug onto my new jacket out of anxiety. This is it. Behind the bouncer in front of me is the start of my actual career. I take a deep breath, steeling my nerves for what's to come. Then as I make my first step, someone suddenly pounces on me, nearly tipping me over.
Hey, look at you!
Geez, Di, did you really have to? I involuntarily cut off as soon as I see Dylan's whole getup. He looks all dapper in that tight-ass looking clothing. Knowing him, he probably can't endure that kind of crap for long.
What? You like what you see or something?
Hey, sorry. I'm just not used to you looking like a responsible adult.
Don't get used to it. Serving drinks to these drunkards certainly isn't responsible.
Whatever you say, bartender. We both make our way to the front entrance where the bouncer is, guarding the neon-gilded doors with as little as a droplet of emotion in his being besides scary. He stared me down like I was some kind of troublemaker, taking occasional glances at Dylan. The bouncer stops us right where we stood, his large paw standing in the way. His height was even more intimidating, though, as he towers over both me and Dylan by a huge margin.
Hold it right there. What's your business here, pup?
His grim tone sends shivers down my spine. His scowl certainly wasn't helping.
The hell's wrong with you? Cat hooker got your tongue? Spit it out already. That's enough from you, you big lug. Stop scaring him already. Sorry. You know scaring the shit out of newbies is the only fun I get around here. And I thought me checking up on you every now and again was enough, Max. Boo-hoo. Bless your poor, delicate rue heart.
Dylan and the big tiger bouncer, apparently named Max, share a hearty laugh before performing a quick secret handshake. Did the atmosphere just change when the two started talking? I can't believe it. There definitely seems different. It's as if all the tension earlier just dissipated.
So, Di, what's he really here for?
I can answer that myself. Max looks at me with an air of skepticism, both on his face and tone.
Oh, you looked like a shriveling prune when I asked you a few seconds ago.
I want to tell him it was his fault why I was like that. What good would that do? Instead, I just answer promptly. I'll be performing as a DJ here.
Ha. You sure he can handle that with everyone staring at him? He's got nerves of steel when he's on stage. It's a shame you won't get to see it. Yeah. Just don't indulge the assholes in there. I don't want to add some extra work on my palate. I'll do my best as always.
Dylan then grabs me by the shoulder and ushers me inside on my own as Max opens the doors for the bar. I walk away from the two when suddenly I hear the sound of cloth rustling accompanied by Dylan gasping. The two of them proceed to playfully roughhouse a bit before Dylan follows my lead. What was that about?
You wouldn't understand.
I guess you're right. Never mind then. We enter the bar and immediately were assaulted by an array of strobe lights and blasting music. People were dancing in the middle of the bar, the dance floor a pattern of squares lighting up in all manners of different colors. The bar was just to the left of the dance floor, manned by a brown wolf in a rather expensive-looking tux. Dylan rushes to the bar right away, catching the wolf's attention.
Mr. Oswald, sorry I'm a bit late, but here, I have this guy with me.
Oh, I'll be with you in just a sec. Mr. Oswald walks around the bar, approaching me and Dylan briskly. He lets out a slight huff as he greets us with a welcoming expression. Dylan, and you must be Miles. Glad you can make it. The bar's extra busy today, so I'm counting on you. He says that last part while looking at Dylan.
I'll do my best, as always, Mr. Oswald.
Alright, now as for you. He looks me over with a rather expectant expression, and just like that, the pressure started piling on. Come with me backstage, Miles. We'll have your briefing there. Alright. I follow him towards the other end of the bar where the backstage is. It appears to be covered by a bunch of curtains. As we make our way to it, my eyes wander around the building, observing the strobe lights and the other attachments near it. There are a few box-like structures that were dimly lit on the strobe light setup. I instantly recognized what they were. Hard light emitters. Why aren't they being put to use? I put these thoughts in the back burner for now, though, as Mr. Oswald pulls the curtain to the backstage aside, gesturing for me to go in first. I enter as Midnight Sun's owner fiddles around with some panels attached to the wall, apparently setting up some mood lighting with his tux unwinding a bit as he turns to face me once again. What a busy night. I muster up the courage to speak to him, despite how nerve-wracking this whole situation is making me feel. Is something the matter, Mr. Oswald? You seem awfully stressed. I'm fine, Miles. Just a late-night rush. You should be worrying about your performance anyways. Oh, alright. Is there anything I need to know about the whole setup? Mr. Oswald proceeds to brief me on the usual stuff I've come to expect at gigs like this. Protocols, equipments, how I sync it, all that. I mostly zoned out halfway because I heard this spiel a few times already. Then, there's the actual acoustics around here. What about them? Let's just say it isn't exactly the most immersive experience. A lot of the DJs have put their own spin on the audio settings to make it sound decent, but it hasn't really done much good. Huh? Do you have any idea why? If I had to guess, it's the bar itself. It's not structured well enough for the music to really get the blood pumping. Unfortunately, I can't spare the funds to get some dedicated equipment. Well, that is a problem. The acoustics are a big problem. It won't be able to showcase the music well enough, and it's no wonder that it's being blasted at the entrance. It sounds unfocused and all over the place. As I contemplated what the problem was, an idea suddenly sprang to mind. The hard light emitters. Excuse me? The bar has some hard light emitters attached to the strobe lights. We can use them to create a dome for the sound to bounce off of. The way they're structured can isolate the sound more, but we can't make an entire dome surrounding the dance floor, especially in a closed-off environment like this. It doesn't have to be an entire dome, just enough for the speakers to bounce the sound off of the curved hard light nicely. Mr. Oswald thinks for a moment before he begins to fiddle with his phone. After he does something, a file comes through my phone. It's the access key to the hard light system of the bar, complete with nearly everything at my disposal. I look at Mr. Oswald as he puts his phone back in his pocket. This is me trusting you to give a killer performance. He pats me on the shoulder before he disappears on the other side of the curtains. I was left feeling uneasy. I was nervous about performing, sure, but that was minuscule compared to the added pressure coming from Mr. Oswald's trust. Somehow that weighs way more on me than it should. Alright, calm down. I looked towards the DJ on the stage. He was ripping through the panels, his mixing near perfect. The entire crowd was bopping to his command. The confidence he's sporting has oozed off his entire being. If he can do that with the less than stellar acoustics, then I can do that too. It doesn't take long for him to finish ripping his pad on stage. After a few finishing flourishes, clearly trying to take off the lasting numbness from an intense gig as he quickly goes down the steps. I know the feeling all too well. He disappears from my view on the other side of the stage, which slowly meant it was my cue. I get a text from Mr. Oswald as I ready myself to get onto the steps. You're up. Any last-minute requests? Can you kill the lights? And just like that, the lights at the bar were all turned off. The crowd's silent, taken aback by the sudden artificial brownout. I take a deep breath as I activated the hard light dishes on the strobe lights. I slam my hands on my pad, bringing forth a burst of light waving through the dance floor. My jacket lights up to the same tones as my DJ pad, slowly illuminating the bar once more in a neon hue. My gaze slowly rises to the crowd as the bass kicks in. I start tapping on the beat repeatedly, and the strobe lights come to life accordingly. I start freestyling on the synths as I put the beats on repeat. Each step after another, I slowly drilled my focus more and more onto the track, ignoring the crowd around me almost entirely. I'm sure Dylan's watching me, maybe Mr. Oswald too if he isn't busy. But right now, they don't matter. I take quick glances at the crowd. They're completely immersed in the music, much deeper into the trance than they were before. I didn't know much of the specific details, but does that really matter? When I'm on the pad, I'm in control. Before I knew it, the performance was over. A slight silence before the crowd erupts in applause, requesting an encore. As much as I'd love to oblige, though, there's still another DJ waiting. I half-heartedly bow to the crowd and make my way to the other flight of stairs afterward, shaking the tension off my limbs while I attempt to calm myself down. When I reach the last flight of stairs, Mr. Oswald greets me with a big smile. He gives me a pat on the back as he leads me towards the bar.
Drinks on the house for tonight. You earned it after all that.
Really, sir? I was just doing what I usually do. Mr. Oswald sits on one of the stools, patting on the cushion on the other side next to him.
Is that so? If that's the case, I'd like to hear more about what you usually do.
I take a seat on the bar stool at Mr. Oswald's left, as he signals Dylan for 2 drinks. I was half hoping I'd get to choose the free drinks for myself, but I guess not. My idle gaze slowly drifts towards Dylan as his quick handiwork gains my attention. His mixology skills are awe-inspiring and eye-catching, and Mr. Oswald redirects my attention towards him.
So, Miles, where have you been hiding in the industry?
What do you mean by that, Mr. Oswald? He lets out a slight chuckle as he scratches his muzzle a bit.
First, we're way past the honorifics. Oswald's fine, since you have definitely earned my respect.
Oh, alright then, Oswald. I stutter a bit as I try to rewire my brain to do as he says.
Second, what you just showed me out there, before and during the performance, that wasn't just some run-of-the-mill DJing. You could have fooled me if you said you were a biggie in the market.
That's quite the high praise, especially coming from someone like you. We exchange a few silent gazes, his vision flicking between me and what I assume is Dylan from time to time. I slowly get lost in his eyes, vibrantly piercing through the dominating hue of the bar. This might be it. This guy might get me into the rest of the high-end industry. All those hurdles that I thought were insurmountable, this guy could make me leap through all of that. I can't let this chance pass me by. Eventually, Dylan arrives with our drinks.
Here you go. Today's special. Vita's Sunrise.
Oswald and I look at Dylan as the Rue winks at me playfully before he goes to another patron. The wolf in front of me chuckles once more as he downs the entire drink in one go, gently putting the glasses down in front of me and Oswald. I have to admit, I'm very impressed by Dylan's craftsmanship, even though this is a rather simple beverage. It's also quite aesthetically pleasing as I slosh it around a bit.
World's full of surprises.
Pardon?
Nothing. Just thinking that Dylan, of all people, got me a gem of a person as a DJ for my bar. It's a humbling experience is all I'm saying.
I simply stare at him as I realize he's referring to me. I blush a bit as I avert my gaze into my drink, hesitating to drink it. I've had alcohol before, sure, but with Oswald right in front of me, it'll make it hard to keep down.
Something wrong. You haven't touched your drink at all.
It's nothing, Oswald. Just a little nervous.
Whatever for?
Well, even you have to admit the difference between you, an owner of a rather well-known bar, to me, a DJ from the countryside. Oswald thinks for a moment. He eyes me from head to toe, making me wonder if I said anything wrong. I take a slow sip out of my drink, wanting to silence myself under the glass. I occasionally give worried glances his way as he reclines himself onto the bar counter, letting out a sigh. Yes, that may be true in some way, but I don't think we're that much different at all. Huh? Let me level with you, Miles. Come here. He signals me with his paw and leans closer as I do so. Yes, the Midnight Sun Bar might be a local specialty of Bayline City, but that's all there is. You thinking this place is amazing is the same as the way the people love the high-rise bars and the skyscrapers. Is that so? Yep. In my eyes, we're the same, even in our own industries. We're remarkable people hiding in plain sight. Remarkable people. Those words hung on to me. Am I truly remarkable? Well, it does take one to know one, and I have very little doubt that Oswald's remarkable in every sense of the word. I wonder, though, how much truth is there to in his words? It's precisely why we're the same that I want to... Oswald's ears suddenly perk up as one of them twitches. He places his finger onto what I assume is an earpiece as I hear muffled speaking on the other end. Oswald's face turns grim while listening on. I begin to worry about what's being said, but Oswald starts to speak again before I could ask what's wrong. No. We can't cause a scene in front of the bar. Yes, I'll handle it. Just let them in. Be on standby for my signal. Right. I stay silent as Oswald's face turns a bit tense. He focuses on the entrance of the bar, expecting someone to enter. I feel the same tension he carries in the air within me, my body growing stiff. It's as if all his eyes were drilled onto me instead of what's behind me. Dylan. He says it in a deep, serious tone, his cheer's all but gone at this point. Yes, Mr. Oswald? Make sure you save the good glasses. I look towards the entrance behind me. Two heavily cloaked, suspicious-looking men come into the bar, menacingly approaching us. I'd half the instinct to just run for it, but seeing Oswald stand his ground, with a scowl nonetheless, somehow makes me want to do the same as well. Mr. Oswald Aloysius. One of the men spoke in a gravelly, cold voice under the trench coat. Yes, that is me. Do you need anything? Perhaps a complimentary drink to take the edge off? The other person circles around me and Oswald, standing behind the wolf. You and your buddies seem to really need it. We're not here to exchange pleasantries. You see, we prefer to get to the point. The two of them begin to close in on Oswald. Their aura just exuded threatening, yet the wolf remained unfazed as he clenched his glass. One of the men lands his paw on Oswald's shoulder. Dylan suddenly comes rushing in from behind me. Hey! What are you two doing? Shaking up this Dylan's words are cut short as a man closer to me lands a clear punch to his gut, causing the kangaroo to crumple upon the ground. I immediately try to come to his aid and examine him. He holds his stomach as he groans in pain, his face full of agony. Dylan! Before I can even process what just happened to Dylan, the men begin to get handsy with Oswald. They rough him up a bit and he growls under his breath. I watch as, even when he's being manhandled, he doesn't back down. He keeps fighting. If we are truly the same, then I can't just stand here like an idiot. Hey! The three men in front of me, including Oswald, look at me with surprise. I hesitate for a moment because of the sudden gazes pointed towards me as a result of my verbal outburst, but I steel myself once more. Let him go. You're gonna regret hurting my best friend. One of the men approaches me, turning my bravado into nothing more than an impish yelp from my being that I couldn't contain. Am I, little puppy? Well, maybe I should teach you a lesson or two. The man doesn't hesitate and starts inching closer. He swings a quick strike aimed towards my muzzle. I reflexively flinch. I prepare myself for the fist to make contact, but it doesn't. I slowly open my eyes to see Oswald is already in front of me, the wolf holding the other beastman's balled-up fist with its hand. Hey now. We're all civilized people here, aren't we? No need for all this needless roughhousing. especially in my beloved establishment. The Beastman backs away while Oswald fixes his tux. You'll regret defying us, pup. I shrivel up a bit as the Beastman who almost punched me spits those words out. Oswald then directs their attention to the back door. As I grow more focused on the other two, who at this point were in the process of leaving, a hand momentarily grips onto my right shoulder, coming from someone behind me. It's Oswald, with his attention seemingly to his earpiece as he goes back to fiddling with his armlet. Max, I need you here ASAP. First aid, one person. Also, please escort the Husky safely out of the bar. I have some business to attend to. Oswald. I'm left speechless as he looks back at me with an unexpectedly gentle expression. It's okay, Miles. I'll take it from here. You go have a good night's rest, yeah? Alright. Within a few seconds, Max arrives, first aid kit on hand. He has a scowl that he's worn since I got here.
What a fucking nuisance.
Oh, you're Max, right?
Oh, lovely. The pup remembered my name. So you gonna get going or what?
What about Dylan?
I'm gonna have to babysit the idiot. Leaves the front door unguarded, so I had someone cover for me. Don't go adding onto my workload now.
Alright, just please make sure he's okay.
He'll be fine. He's got a lot tougher skin than you, that's for sure.
I'll just take that as an okay. The tiger is certainly difficult. I watch him carry Dylan onto his back, taking a few quick glances at them, with Max being surprisingly gentle with the Roo. He responds accordingly to the pain groans my best friend was making. I appreciate the gesture in a way. At least he's careful when he has to be. Or maybe it has something to do with Dylan's relationship with his coworkers. I proceed to place all my thoughts and questions on the back burner for now, feeling increasingly exhausted as I make my way towards the exit. I just go and leave the tension of the situation that had just occurred behind me. As soon as I exit the bar, though, things begin to feel off. The roads downtown seem rather empty, barren even. And though this place doesn't really get the most foot traffic at this time of night, there should still be a few people walking around. Yet here I am on this empty sidewalk with no other living being within sight. I proceed to cautiously wait at the bus stop, placing my DJ pad on the seat next to me. I remove my jacket, feeling rather uncomfortable because of the humid atmosphere. I then look through my phone and check the time for when the bus is due to arrive. No signal. Strange. I was certain I had some on the way here. Fuck. All this is starting to get really concerning. I wait for what feels like 30 minutes before the bus finally arrives, making me feel the sudden urge to gather my belongings and enter the bus quickly. As I climb the steps, though, I quickly realize it's going to be only me on the passenger seats, alone with this driver, on a rather late bus in the middle of the night. I decide to give the driver a curt nod as I scan my armlet for the bus pass, taking a seat as the vehicle drives off. We eventually reach the stop near the Central Plaza, and although the place is rather populated, the feeling that I've had since leaving the bar earlier never really left me. I check my phone for the time. It's 1:35 a.m. That's way longer than the trip I took to get to the bar. I start worrying that something's gone terribly wrong. I hastily jog to my apartment, nearly stumbling on the steps as I make my way to the front door. Before I'm able to unlock the door, though, a piece of paper is plastered onto it catches my eye. Eviction notice? No, this can't be. This isn't right. This must be some sort of mistake. The big guy from the bar must have knocked me out cold. This is one big nightmare. My apartment front doors swing open, revealing the mostly empty interior. Everything essential, including my couch and dining table, all gone. All that's left are the dusty corners of my empty fridge. Even the rack next to my door isn't there, along with my shoes and flip-flops and everything. I half-heartedly go through my bedroom door. I stare at the large place that my bed used to occupy. My closet and desks are gone. And the setup I worked my ass off for all those years to put together. No. I refuse to believe this. None of this is real. My rent isn't even due yet. I didn't even do anything wrong. It's just the stress. Yes, the stress of the day must have gotten to my head. I read somewhere that if you realize you're dreaming, you can control what happens. So if I just think hard enough, my cabinets and fridge will fill back up with my stuff again. My warm bed will be there, and I will be able to embrace the sheets. My PC will be in the once dark corner of the room, blasting me with light. I commit these memories into intention as I slowly open the door. Just a nightmare. I want to believe that this is all just a stupid nightmare. But no matter how many times I close my eyes, hoping that everything I lost will come back to me, it doesn't happen. My mind wanders on all the things I could have possibly done over the month, the week, today. Then the realization suddenly hits me, coming down like a lightning bolt directly from the heavens. With it came a weight, a real weight, of those words previously spoken. Regret defying us. I collapse on the floor with the devastation weighing heavily on my chest. Tears run down the sides of my muzzle, and my whole body feels numb. How? Why did this all have to happen? It was only a few hours ago that I was having the time of my life at Oswald's bar. I thought everything would be smooth sailing from there. Now, I'm even lower than I was before I dropped out. Back in that dark place where there was no hope, no chance. I was lucky enough that back then Dylan was there for me, but now? All the things I worked for are gone. Now I'm nothing more than just a husky, with only a DJ pad and a cute face to his name. I sluggishly crawl towards the space where my bed used to be. The points where its legs left a mark still persisting on the foam flooring. I caress one of the markings with my paw while I lay myself, curled up from the cold air. I take out my new jacket and spread it out on top of me as a makeshift blanket, which admittedly doesn't do much, but at least it's something. I place my phone next to me, staring at the light it gives off as a slight ringing in my ear reverberates. I know I can't exactly stay here forever now that I'm evicted, but at least one more night. Just one. Then I'll leave for good. My eyelids become heavy as each second passes, growing more tired as the tears continue to streak down the side of my face. With the last remaining bit of my strength, though, I manage to mumble out loud between sobs. Someone, please, take me out of this nightmare. So I'm going to end it there. Oh, that was a high ride and a low low. Oof. It can be quite devastating if your personal space is invaded like that. I'm really looking forward to this. I know it says to be continued, but it's going to continue. So we'll pick up next time. And this has been Fritz-Ay Says, and everyone have a nice day. Ciao.